The following content is sponsored and does not necessarily reflect the views of WATD Radio. Now, Paul Ponders on 95.9 WATD. Be a part of the show. Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's your host, Paul Solano.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. My name is Paul Solano of the PS&L Marketing Group. And as you probably already know, I also wear another hat as General Manager of Pearl Street Station Restaurant in Malden. Pearl Street Station was recently featured on America's Best Restaurants, an independent marketing firm from Kentucky. And one reason for this huge honor is because of Chef Felipe Fitzpatrick and his culinary team. Chef Felipe is a loyal listener through the Odyssey app. So hello to Chef Felipe. How you doing today? Again, we have lots of stuff going on at Pearl Street Station this whole weekend. And I know that you were in the middle of prepping with Chef Joaquin for so many events and party pan pickups, and you're just doing an absolutely fabulous job, my friend. Great job. Now, as I've continually stated over the past 26 shows, and this is show number 27, it is an absolute honor and pleasure to be on WATD in the slot of The Boiling Point with Arthur Boyle. I cannot believe that this is show number 27, but as they say, time flies. And as I always tell Arthur, I'm pleased to have you as my executive consultant of Paul Ponders and WATD, and a belated happy birthday to Arthur. You had a birthday on June 4th, so happy birthday, Arthur. Hope you had a great celebration. I think you're on a vacation day today, and you had also given me a birthday gift, a Pembroke Titans sweatshirt that I said that I would wear today and take a picture, a photo op with Tim behind the glass, but I forgot to put that on today. So we'll try that next week. And as I said, Tim behind the glass. How you doing, Tim? I know Tim is calling in, but he'll be back on. And Dave Cedrone was here delivering the news. And a nice shout out to Jimmy and Brian for doing a great job on the Sound Advice, Tom Williams Sound Advice show. Great listening to him on the way down. And also to Duncan and his antique show. It's really just great listening to all the great programming we have here on WATD. And also a shout out to Billy in the Talk Information Center. There's a big gala coming up next Thursday. I'm trying to clear my schedule so that I'll be able to come down from Pearl Street to be at the gala, which is going to be at, I believe, the Plymouth Country Club. I believe I have that invitation in my office, but I'm going to try to hopefully be calling Jackie during the week and hopefully going to that TIC event. So, Tim behind the glass, how are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm doing good. I'm in the home stretch, so I'm doing great.
Absolutely. Before the Grand Poobah Ron Dwyer comes on, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. And just a quick shout out. We'll be hearing a commercial for a comedy night for the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame that my friend Dave Russo on the Road, is going to be putting on June 26th. So we'll be hearing more about that later. But I see on the line, it's time for the Pod Pro Entertainment Techie Toolbox segment with Techie Talonzo Amos and Shelley Wolf, global media firm owner of Toolbox Entertainment and a past Paul Ponders guest, episode number 35. Shelley, you're on the line.
Good morning, Paul. How you doing?
I am doing well, thanks. How are you today?
Well, I got some rest, so that's a good thing.
Well, that's a good thing. Now, are you in Philadelphia? Are you back in Philadelphia today?
I am back in Philadelphia today. We did a move yesterday, so everything's been loaded up. So I'm in Philadelphia for a few more days.
Oh, wow. Well, wonderful. Well, look forward to having you move up to the Boston area in your new job capacity. Feel free to talk about that at any point when you want. But it's something that's going to be great to have you up in the Boston area, Cambridge area, and also, maybe coming into studio one of these Saturdays.
Yes, I look forward to doing that for sure.
That's great. Now, so many people who are listening to the Paul Ponders radio show, the podcast, and they go to paulponders.com, are in fact listening to the tips that you've been delivering so well over the past umpteen segments, many of our 26 previous segments and all. And I try to get to as many posting of tips on the PS&L marketing group. But Shelley, you just do an incredible job in just compiling so many great topics. So I'm curious to see what you have for us today.
Well, thank you for that, Paul. Yeah, I was trying to determine what we should talk about today. And I thought, why not take this opportunity and talk about what it's like to move and think about some tech tips for downsizing, relocating, or even launching students off to college. Moving can mark a fresh start, which is always a wonderful thing, whether you're downsizing into a simpler space, relocating closer to be a family, or even just sending a child or grandchild off to college. So whatever stage one is in, the one thing that is clear is moving takes a lot of management, let me tell you. So today I thought, why not jump into that and think about some digital tools that can make the process easier, keep us organized, and try to make it a little less stressful for whether it's yourself or whether for a child or just, a student that you might know. So I wanted to start off with thinking about, how do you organize a move? And there's an app called Sortly, which is wonderful for everyone. It's great for inventory, what you're packing, with photos, labeling, categorization. It's great, especially for older adults, tracking valuables, or whether students are making sure dorm supplies don't get lost. I mean, they give you that whole long list of things to take off to college, and half of them you actually don't need, but,
Right, exactly.
That's a whole other story, right? But you can even print off QR codes, scan them. But what I found, and this is a little too late for my move, but I just realized that at the UPS store, they actually have these wonderful stickers. And so you're not having to handwrite on every box what room it should go to. So, whether you want to put it in the kitchen or they're fragile or whatever, they got quick little stickers to throw on the box. So that helps. But we've talked a little bit before about Google Keep or Evernote. They're great phone apps that you can use that are right on your phone, and you can make checklists for your family members. You can organize your essentials. I know I've been making tons of donations, so, it's a great way to, again, categorize, hey, these are essential things I'm needing. These are things I'm donating. These are utilities I need to cancel, because we forget about, we have to have our utilities turned on as well. But there are also tools that you can use to share with family and roommates and update them in real time and share those along. Again, we've talked about the Google Calendar before. Again, another great way just to kind of put things on your calendar to keep things in line and kind of remember, because when you're trying to balance work and jobs and family matters and move, you also, scheduling just becomes a thing. So, putting on your calendar and color coding it, move-in gates, campus orientations, final walkthroughs, utility setups, all those friend appointments. You want to hang out and have those goodbye brunches. So, again, color coding them, sharing them with families and friends, those are help keep people organized. Decluttering and saving money, right? Facebook Marketplace is a great way, or OfferUp is also another way if you're trying to downsize. I actually, right after this today, I'm actually going to go drop off another 10 bags of donations to a great organization called Green Drop, which is part of the Red Cross. And, they go out to folks. There's also Salvation Army, the Epilepsy Foundation up there, churches. I always try to recommend to people. I know it's important to, Goodwill and Salvation Army have their stores and stuff, but I also think it's really important to think about, we have so many unhoused people in our towns, and so finding places that will take stuff and upcycle them and won't charge folks so that the unhoused can actually get back on their feet very easily, or refugees can get back on their feet very easily. So just things to think about when you're getting rid of goods. And again, trying to upscale or upcycle things, because we, as a country, we really get rid of so many things. We are consumers of our own selves, and so it's really important to think about how we can upcycle all that. So again, selling, giving away items to folks that you don't need. Then also think about how to save some money. So there's an app called Honey or Rakuten. You can install these on your browser and get coupon codes or earn cash back really easily. Rakuten, I had talked about, I think, 2 weeks ago. And again, it's a great little extension that you add on, and out of nowhere, you're quickly getting, cash back, and it'll show you what when you're doing online ordering for things, it'll say, oh, you can get 10% back on this. So again, easy, free cash. It's wonderful. Amazon Prime has lots of student offers. So again, if you have an EDU email, you get 6 months free and discounts on shipping, streaming, textbooks, all the above. Great way to do that. And then, when you're setting up your home, if you can use something that's called the Magic Plan. So those that are much more established and might want to look at floor planning and think about where they want to put their furniture and stuff like that, there is a cost to it, but the app is really quite amazing in terms of thinking how you want to structure your home. And then there's also something called Home Data, which tracks appliances and warranties, receipts, and stuff like that. And this has a free option, but I also always go back to Google Sheets or Excel is another great way just to kind of track those things. We want to save you money, and using these apps really allow for trying to keep you on task. How many subscriptions do you have? Because again, it's very easy just to kind of lose track of those things. The United States Postal Service has these informed deliveries now. When you do your change of address, you get email updates, which are just really awesome. It's kind of funny today because I got an email about somebody's piece of mail that showed up in my mailbox. It's not mine, but I know that there's mail in my mailbox. Campus safety, again, if you're going out to students, there is apps, and I just really highlight that students should download campus safety apps that their schools offer for emergency alert. And again, Google Calendar or My Study Life helps students manage classes, deadlines, and meetings. So again, some quick tips and checklists, track boxes and belongings. You can use Sortly, share checklists with Google Keep, sell or shop with Facebook Marketplace, plan your furniture layout with a Magic Plan, sign up to make sure the USPS informed delivery service. And again, as students help set up their class planners and school safety apps. So, whether you're setting up a cozy new space, helping a child settle into a dorm, take 10 minutes to set up some of these simple tech tools. Moving doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's just a series of small, smart steps that make all the difference in the world. So I, again, want to give a shout out to all of those who are in the process of moving, because I know your pain, but I'm wishing all the movers and those that are moving and college families out there, smooth, stressful transition. So stay connected, and that's what we got for today.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, as always, Shelley Wolf, very insightful and very informative, and I want to thank you again for being on Paul Ponder's radio show on ATD.
Absolutely.
And how do our listeners contact you?
Yes, they can reach us at info@podproentertainment.com. And, we've been getting some great questions, so I really appreciate that.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, Shelley, you make it a great rest of the weekend, and we will catch up soon. #Indeed.
Good. #Imagine.
Indeed. Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, as Arthur Boyle always says, it's not time to make the donuts, it's time to pay some bills. Let's hear from our sponsors. Attention WATD listeners, don't leave any money on the table. Call Performance Appraisal LLC and appraiser Arthur Boyle and Associates. Arthur may be reached at 781-293-6900 or Boyle6900 at AOL.com. Since 1994, Performance has developed many niche services ranging from appraising single-family homes to providing expert witness testimony. Again, call our own Arthur Boyle at 781-293-6900.
Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Manakesett Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision. Happy to work for you. Have you tried Briantville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Briantville Pizza Kitchen. chicken wings and fingers in the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857.
A reminder from Crystal Clear Pools in Kingston. Pools can be fun and a relief from summer's heat, but they can also be a safety concern. Crystal Clear Pools offers safety tips including don't swim alone, don't dive into unfamiliar waters, have automatic locks on all gates and points of access, know where all your safety equipment is located and know how to use it, know where the nearest telephone is in case of emergency, and always keep your pool clean and sanitized. For other safety tips and quality pool products, stop by and see us on Route 27 in Kingston, Crystal Clear Pools. 781-585-7665. Be safe this season.
Please join National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame board member comedian Dave Russo on Thursday, June 26th at 5:30 p.m. at Giggles Comedy Club at the Prince Restaurant in Saugus. Dave Russo is assembling a top-notch lineup to coincide with the NIASH Education Awards Night. There will be lots of laughs, raffle prizes, and $3,000 in education awards given to deserving students. Contact Paul at Paul Ponders or Board President Dave Cayazzo at davecaypitching@gmail.com. It's Dave Russo on the road for this great cause. Five-time Hall of Fame inductee President Dave Cayazzo from the National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame Massachusetts chapter invites you to its Hall of Fame induction ceremony at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 5th at Anthony's of Malden. Congrats to Zavarian Brothers High School head football coach Al Finaro, past San Diego Padres farmhand Joe DiSarcina, and special Tony the Champ DeMarco Spirit Award recipient Catholic Memorial AD football coach John DiBiazzo. Please contact Paul at paulponders.com or President Dave Cayazzo at davecaypitching@gmail.com for more ticket information.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
We are back, and thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. The call-in number is 781-837-4900, and you could also find us on the Odyssey app. And a huge shout-out to my daughter Ann, who is listening, and also to Amy from Arizona, who is listening on the Odyssey app. So thanks for tuning in. And you could reach me at Paul at paulponders.com. And a shout-out to those nonprofits out there who, in fact, want to be featured on Paul Ponders' radio show. And just a quick note, you just heard a commercial for the National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame awards and induction award ceremony coming up on October 5th, and there's a special award that's going to Coach DiBiazzo, and it's in honor and in memory of Tony the Champ DeMarco. And ironically, tonight at Fenway, there's going to be fights at Fenway tonight at Fenway Park, and the last fight at Fenway Park was when Tony DeMarco, Tony the Champ DeMarco, fought, I believe, Carmen Basilio back in, I want to say, 1956. So anyways, just a ironic feature right there. Listeners can go to paulponders.com to find subscription links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as finding past Paul Ponders and WATD shows. My last podcast was dropped on June 2nd with State Auditor Diana DeZoglio. It has received wonderful reviews, and a lot of people have been listening to that. It was a really great episode. My next episode coming up will be a nice tribute to the Juneteenth holiday. Now, at this point of the program, we usually have the financial wing of Olympic Proportion with Olympian and former Boston Bruins winger Dave Jensen, Senior Loan Officer for Riverworks Credit Union. This week, Dave is on assignment. He's kind of bogged down with some work. But we do have Staff Sergeant Gene Stico, retired U.S. Air Force, an expert in analyzing complex intelligence and translating technical concepts into clear, actionable insights, on the line. Gene, are you on the line?
I'm here, Paul. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Gene. It's really great to have you on the line. And I want you to let our listeners know about a new book that you and your wife, one of our newest American citizens, Natalia Stico, have put together with a couple of colleagues, and it's really about the private notes of a Soviet engineer who reverse engineered a UFO. I am fascinated to hear this story.
Thanks. Yeah, it's really remarkable. I always say my interest in the subject matter never extended beyond, perhaps binging Ancient Aliens or, one of those shows on a long-rainy weekend. But, the story goes back to 2019, not long, just about a year after, in fact, Natalia had immigrated here to the U.S. We moved back. We were living overseas and getting life started here. And as part of that, our son, AJ, had become involved in an organization called the Civil Air Patrol. It's the U.S. Air Force Auxiliary, where they do a lot in STEM, in aeronautics, and he desired to become a pilot. And I said, well, this will be a great, training opportunity. So, as families do, Natalia's catching up her dad, who was originally from Kazakhstan and was still living there. And he himself was trained as an aerospace engineer in what was the MIT, the premier institution way back in the days of the Soviet Union. And he said, very casually in passing, I'm going to send you some things that AJ might be interested in someday. Fast forward, we receive the package in the mail. And, it just kind of goes and sits on the kitchen table, and more mail gets collected on it, like everyone, busy lives, and figure you sit down and get to it. Within weeks, we get a phone call from his girlfriend in Kazakhstan that he had taken ill, and sadly, within a couple of weeks following that, right before New Year's Eve, going into 2020, Nat got word he had passed away, and in fact it was, within 24, 48 hours, and he was already buried. And so, we wasn't much to do at that point, and just started pressing on with life. And, this is what starts getting interesting and sort of weird and opens all these questions. Shortly thereafter, she actually had a dream about him. And in the dream, he's young and healthy. He's in a suit. He looks fantastic. She's telling me about it, and he says, well, I can't help you with singing, but here. And he hands her a package, and she wakes up. So, that obviously stirred the remembering, what he had sent. And we began going through it, and, we were just floored. It was diagrams, physics. It obviously had to do with the cosmos. And, about halfway through, there's diagrams of what looked like a UFO. And as Nat's sitting there translating it, she says, this is, that's what it's titled, structure of the UFO. And that sort of launched the mission, let's say, because we had a ton of questions. Is this, was this sort of kitchen table hobby like somebody does Sudoku? He did physics about ideas. Sitting around, and we began reaching out to academics and organizations, trying to see if there was anyone who could give us some insights into it. Had no response, and ultimately, the more we looked into it, the more we worked on it, the more it became evident this was a professional body of work. As you mentioned, I came out of the Intel background. I sort of looked at it from that forensic standpoint. I looked for those hallmarks that would indicate it was part of official documentation. And at the end of the day, we said this, by all intents and purposes and language, is the reverse engineering of a UFO. Now, what do we do with it? And so that came to, well, let's just publish it and put it out there for the scientific community to explore, or fans of the subject matter to enjoy.
Wow. Wow. Now, you compiled all this information into a book, and it's called Engineering Infinity, Earth's First Interstellar Blueprint, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that really captures what's in there because, like I said, it is full of the physics and math that talks about all these phenomena, all these different issues and ideas that people talk about when it comes to the subject. It's in there, and it's backed up mathematically. And one of the fascinating things is that considering these were written in the early, between the early 80s into the early 90s, and then obviously with his passing in, right before 2020, there are announcements. There have been announcements in science that backs up and validates. So things they're saying are discovered now, they're in the book. So it spend hours sort of mind blown as I see what's released publicly and compare it against these series of notes.
Absolutely. And as we start to wind down, I do want to make note of a press conference that's coming up, I believe, this Wednesday in the Malden area. If you want to let our listeners know about this press conference, please.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's very important. We're teaming up with the Massachusetts chapter of MUFON, which is the Mutual UFO Network. They're sort of the leading private organization in the U.S. for advocacy and resources and subject materials. And we're going to host a press conference at the Malden Irish American Club at 177 West Street in Malden, 9:30 a.m. We've sent out invitations to the press, but we certainly welcome the public to attend as well, citizen journalists, anything like that. And I'll present short information about the book, take questions. The MUFON rep is going to be there as well to give some of his insights, again, as independently investigating and vetting, what we've done in the works itself. So should be exciting, should be informative, and would welcome anyone there.
That is fabulous. That's fabulous. Well, Gene, I've known you for quite a few years, and I've always found you to be just a real Renaissance man with so many different talents. And I think that you really qualify to be a future frequent contributor to the Paul Ponders WATD radio show. So if we'll speak offline on this, but if you don't mind coming back and maybe next week or the week after and letting our listeners know about the book and about all the other projects that you're working on.
I appreciate that, and I'd love to. And if I can just throw out, for anyone who's interested, the website is engineeringinfinitybook.com, all one word, engineeringinfinitybook.com. They can get it through Amazon, or there's a link on there. They can download it right away in a PDF if they don't want to wait a few days to get it in the mail.
That's fabulous. Well, hopefully the sales will be out of this world.
No pun intended.
Pun not intended. Indeed. Wonderful. Well, Gene, I wish you the best, and I'll try to drop over to the press conference on Wednesday at 9:30 in Malden.
Great. Hope to see you. Thanks again.
You're welcome. Have a great day, okay? Say hi to Nat and AJ for me.
Will do.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Well, what a fascinating interview. Now it's time to hear from our sponsors, please.
South Street Diner, located at 178 Nealon Street, Boston, is Boston's only all-night dining destination, open 7 nights a week for late-night eats. Yep, that's 24/7 in my book. Owner Saul Seidel has grown this former iconic Blue Diner to be the place to go for keeping the party going or filling your stomachs before you head home to the South Shore or the Cape and the Islands and listen to WATD along the way home. Ask Saul about his grandmother's banana bread recipe, the Boston cream pancakes, umpteen eggs Benny offerings, and tell him that Paul Ponders sent you. Attention WATD listeners, don't leave any money on the table. Call Performance Appraisal, LLC, and appraiser Arthur Boyle and Associates. Arthur may be reached at 781-293-6900 or Boyle6900 at AOL.com. Since 1994, Performance has developed many niche services, ranging from appraising single-family homes to providing expert witness testimony. Again, call our own Arthur Boyle at 781-293-6900.
Have you tried Bryantville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857. Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Manakesett Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision. Happy to work for you.
A reminder from Crystal Clear Pools in Kingston. Pools can be fun and a relief from summer's heat, but they can also be a safety concern. Crystal Clear Pools offers safety tips including don't swim alone, don't dive into unfamiliar waters, have automatic locks on all gates and points of access, know where all your safety equipment is located and know how to use it, know where the nearest telephone is in case of emergency, and always keep your pool clean and sanitized. For other safety tips and quality pool products, stop by and see us on Route 27 in Kingston, Crystal Clear Pools, 781-585-7665. Be safe this season.
Five-time Hall of Fame inductee President Dave Caiazzo from the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame Massachusetts chapter invites you to its Hall of Fame induction ceremony at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 5th at Anthony's of Malden. Congrats to Zavarian Brothers High School head football coach Al Finaro, past San Diego Padres farmhand Joe DiSarcina, and special Tony the Champ DeMarco Spirit Award recipient Catholic Memorial AD football coach John DiBiazzo. Please contact Paul at paulponders.com or President Dave Caiazzo at davekaipitching@gmail.com for more ticket information. Please join National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame board member comedian Dave Russo on Thursday, June 26th at 5:30 p.m. at Giggles Comedy Club at the Prince Restaurant in Saugus. Dave Russo is assembling a top-notch lineup to coincide with the NIASH Education Awards Night. There will be lots of laughs, raffle prizes, and $3,000 in education awards given to deserving students. Contact Paul at Paul Ponders or Board President Dave Caiazzo at davekaipitching@gmail.com. It's Dave Russo on the road for this great cause.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
We are back, and thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. The call-in number here is 781-837-4900. And again, I just want to give another shout-out. I do it at the end of the show, but a big shout-out to all my sponsors and advertisers for really supporting this weekly show. And it's really great being on the line, and it's great taking those call-ins, like from Bob Hilberg, Executive Director of Gotham Whale. Bob, are you on the line?
Hello there, Paul. How are you?
I am doing well, thanks. Living the dream still.
That's what it's all about. Enjoying the journey, living the dream.
It really is.
Just seizing the moment, all that stuff. Good stuff.
Absolutely. It's an incredible journey between the womb and the tomb called time, TIME, things I must experience. And I want to say that you experienced a whirlwind week in New York and Staten Island and Brooklyn and all over the place. So if you want to let our listeners know what life in the world of Executive Director Bob Hilberg, Gotham Whale, was like this past week.
Well, first I want to give congratulations to Natalia for becoming a U.S. citizen. I was there at Pearl Street last week celebrating for American citizenship. What a proud moment. And Gene was there, and all their family, and saw you and your whole team. So thanks for putting that on for them. That was fabulous, and she was just thrilled, and we're thrilled to have her.
It truly was.
Be part of our U.S. citizen. Go USA.
Absolutely.
So as far as what happened, so part of this whole thing that we're doing with Gotham Whale is bringing that passion to really do something special in your life and give back to the community. So I met this guy, Zach DeMarco, through our volunteering team at Gotham Whale, and he says, I'd love to do whatever I can. He's a film guy and a documentary, and he spent a month or two in Africa, and I says, hey, we got this opportunity to meet with Nature Metrics and do some environmental DNA sampling around Governor's Island, Statue of Liberty, and the Brooklyn Bridge. So, pretty cool. So, we get down there on Tuesday, and Zach and I got there a little early. We got some pictures of the Statue of Liberty from the land. We got on this double-power rubber raft with 5 of us, and out we go into the New York Harbor. And we did, and Zach stepped right up. We had this woman, Anna, from the Netherlands, that was from Nature Metrics, and she's a marine scientist, biologist, and she says, this is what we do. We take the water, we put it through a filter, we get it down so that we just get, the minute details of what's in the water, and they'll do an analysis of whatever they can find, and they're looking for whatever species or anything that's in the water in that level of analysis. So we did one right next to the Statue of Liberty. The Staten Island ferry's going by. They have a similar boat that we have up here called the Godzilla up here in the New England Aquarium. They have a boat, a speed boat called the Beast, and that's going by us. All these boats are flying by us, and we're sitting there just doing this DNA sampling, maybe 200 or 300 feet from the Statue of Liberty, which is awe-inspiring to begin with. Then we headed off over the Brooklyn Bridge, and one of the reasons we went over to go under the Brooklyn Bridge is in November of last year there was a humpback whale that was under the Brooklyn Bridge, and Gotham Whale was one of the first people to report that, and it was news all over the world. So that put Gotham Whale in a position to really get notoriety, and that's where Deutsche Bank, they called us last year, and they sponsored this trip for us. And right now, they're having a sail Grand Prix right there around Governor's Island with 12 countries racing these catamarans. And a lot of it, the reason that they're doing that is to bring more awareness of what's happening in the environment and in the oceans and make this world a better place. Cleaner environment, cleaner energy. So they're all about that type of activism and just bring awareness. And they hooked up with us at Gotham Whale, and I had to go to 58th Street and do an interview with a green screen and a nice suit, for promoting our collaboration with Deutsche Bank and Nature Metrics. And then I met with the Staten Island dive team on Thursday night and talked to them about that. A lot of them knew Paul Sr., the founder of Gotham Whale, and we're providing education, research, and advocacy for whales and their environment. And along the way, a teacher called me and said, my 9-year-old son found out that the North Atlantic right whale is endangered. He did a presentation with his 11-year-old brother at this charter school in Brooklyn, and they raised $276. And one of the things that Hugo, the 9-year-old, said, we can't collect any checks, no money from any parents. It's just got to be us kids. 50 cents, $1, $2, $5, whatever. And they had about 2 weeks of fundraising, and they raised $276. So they're going to do a presentation for us in Gotham Whale the third week of June, and show us what they did and how they did it. So that's pretty exciting that we're inspiring the next generation to make this world a better place. So those are just a couple highlights. And the other thing that I'll throw out, although Al Roker didn't want me to promote this on social media, is that I met Al Roker on the Staten Island ferry on my way to Manhattan. So he was pretty cool, and he was like, sure, And we were both actually taking pictures of the Statue of Liberty, and I looked over and said, Al Roker, right? He said, yes, I am. I said, oh, I love you. What you do and all the energy you bring to the world. He said, thank you very much. Very sweet man. So you never know who you meet out there.
That's great. And I believe his wife is a correspondent on WABC on Good Morning America and also co-host of 2020, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I believe Deborah.
I think
Deborah,
so.
Deborah Thomas, I believe. That's great. That's really cool. So tell us about, some people have commented about Gotham Whale and its presence, in New York, but there is a huge Massachusetts, Boston following for Gotham Whale. Correct?
Yes, we're going to be doing more stuff. I mean, it just happened that, Paul Siswerda, the senior, went to school in Malden and got inducted into the Malden High School Hall of Fame as a scientist. But he was one of the first volunteers at the New England Aquarium in 1969. Eventually worked his way up to curator and then went down to the Coney Island Aquarium and worked down there for 20 years. And then in his 70s decided he'd buy a boat and go out looking for seals, and he saw a whale. And he said, wow, what's a whale doing in New York Harbor? This is unbelievable. This is big. This is huge. This Gotham City, Gotham Whale. Hey, we're going to call this Gotham Whale, and let's become a nonprofit and track them and see what's going on with them. And so we have people on our board that deal with under the sea, what's happening with the fish and the Menhaden. We have people that are, our visionary director, Paul Siswerda's son, PJ, leading us down the path of what else we can do. We're doing a course on boat safety. We saw the guy in Portsmouth get knocked off his boat last year. So we're doing a collaboration with other organizations to really put out some videos. It's still a few months away before that's going to be out there. And we're bringing a lot of this to the schools.
To fruition.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, that is
so
awesome.
We're going to be doing that type of stuff in Massachusetts as well.
Absolutely.
We have one of our Board of Advisors, Sarah Driscoll, is in Marshfield, and we're looking to set up some programs, some educational programs, and doing some more stuff like beach cleanups and things like that. So anyone that has any environmental things, reach out to us, and we'll collaborate with you to do whatever we can to make the environment, the ocean, safer for whales and our environment.
That's a plan.
GothamWhale.org.
I love it. Yeah. GothamWhale.org. Well, Bob Hilberry, I want to thank you for calling in and being a frequent contributor to Paul Ponders, and we will catch up soon, my friend.
Yes, indeed. Thanks very much. Indeed. Be Gotham. Be great.
Absolutely. You got it. Be well, my friend. Well, thanks, Bob. I want our listeners to stay tuned to WATD for the Memories with Ron Dwyer, the grand poobah of oldies rock and roll. Ron, you are a true leader of the pack with great musical memories of yesteryear. So thank you, Ron, for all that you do. Special thanks to Tim, Arthur, and, again, our advertisers. But really, thank you, listeners in WATD world and beyond. Keep Paul pondering. #Indeed.